Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
Up today on Race Day, have Indy cars reached the Magic Kingdom? Buzz Calkins makes Disney his own Toy Story. The country's most successful short track is sold. Pretty soon its new owner may have more spots than Walmart. And you might as well jump. This Gordon boy hasn't forgotten where he came from. We're coast to coast on Race Day for Sunday, January 28th, 1996. Well, good race day to you. I'm Rick Benjamin. The earliest start to Major League Racing in memory. While Winston Cup Ford teams are looking for a better idea, we've got it all for you here in the next 30 minutes. And we start them up in Florida this morning. A year ago, this site was nothing but raw land. Now, a very challenging one-mile oval is a part of the Disney World layout there. And despite plenty of skepticism, USAC and the new Indy Racing League dropped the green flag yesterday on what could be the season's biggest story. And Buddy Lazier and Richie Hearn had qualified fastest this past week. Lazier the only driver to enjoy front row glory. Hearn had to go to the back after this Friday practice crash with Eddie Cheever. They finally lined him up, and Lazier sprinted to the lead at the drop of the historic first green flag yesterday. Lazier controlled the early laps while Hearn was working his way through traffic up to 7th before this. The Toyota Atlantic champion spins, touches the inside wall on the backstretch. Hearn okay, but he's out. On the restart, USAC Triple Crown champ Tony Stewart dashes by Lazier, who suffered suspension problems. The Colorado driver had to stop to replace a right front hub. Back on track, the first buzz from Indy Lights veteran Buzz Calkins. Calkins takes his red ride underneath Stewart, who had to slow down to conserve fuel. Calkins built a 14-second lead as those two dominated the race. What about the veterans who were expected to whip everybody? Well, Larry Lyondike fell victim to transmission troubles here, while Scott Brayton could never fix a bad handling problem. Then late in the race, Roberto Guerrero stops. He gets fuel. Eddie Cheever gets the wall hard. A virtual replay of Friday's crash, this time involving Scott Sharp. Now watch this. The safety truck pulls in front of Stewart. Tony tries to get around the wreckage. He tags the wall. That whole incident sets up a final 7-lap shootout. Green comes back out. Stewart is second, chasing Calkins. Tony tries one final time, but Calkins just has too much automobile. The IndyCar rookie sprinting to the first ever IRL checkered flag. Stewart holds on for second, while former Indy Lights champ Robbie Buell outdueled Formula One star Michele Alboreto for third. Former Indy qualifying record holder Roberto Guerrero got back up to fifth, and we'll have much more on the IRL opener at Disney World in minutes here on Race Day. So Buzz Calkins makes history, takes the first ever Indy Racing League checkered flag in his first ever IndyCar start. Well, after the finish yesterday, Race Day's Matt Yoakum went one-on-one with the IRL's inaugural winner.
Rick, the slogan at Disney World is a place where dreams come true. That phrase could have been written for 24-year-old Buzz Calkins. His first ever race in an Indy car, and he wins the IRL's inaugural biggest prize. Has it been able to sink in yet at all?
No, I don't think it really has sunk in, and I probably won't sink in until tomorrow morning, but you're exactly right. It is a dream come true. Just from the perspective is, I don't think I would have ever imagined that could happen on our first IndyCar race. Perhaps down the road, yeah, and that's kind of what you think about more, but no, we're ecstatic that this happened.
You took the lead from Tony Stewart on lap 66. You held it until late in the going, and then he started reeling you back in, and then you got that late race caution. What were you thinking? Were you going to be able to hold him off?
Well, I mean, that's exactly what was going through my mind is you had two sides of it. Yeah, you don't want to blow the restart and, you know, do what happened in Indianapolis this year. And then also you don't want to let him get by you. So it was pretty nerve-wracking moments on both those restarts. After the first one was done, I was like, phew, we got that out of the way. You know, we can just go and finish the race. And then the yellow came on again and had to do it all over again. So yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Buzz Calkins takes the biggest win of his career. Ironically, when they return to May this year for the Indianapolis 500, he'll be a favorite. Last year, he was a spectator in the stands. Rick?
All right, thanks, Matt. Much more on the Disney World event and the political lay of the land in IndyCar racing in minutes here on Race Day. One new track is baptized, and another well-known facility is getting a new lease on life. Just a couple of weeks after the shocking sale of North Wilkesboro, early this week, Burton Smith opened his checkbook once again. Smith Speedway Motorsports, which owns Charlotte, Atlanta, and the new Texas track, buying Bristol in Tennessee from Larry Carrier. But the principals in the deal tell me they expect no major changes at Bristol.
I don't want to see any more, especially. I just want to keep doing it the way it's being done and just improve from there. And more seats, yes, and other improvements. We'll be looking at a lot of things, and I enjoy that part of it. And I'm committed to Mr. Bill France, NASCAR, to help, you know, if we can build this sport bigger and better, and that's what we'll be doing, and I'm committed to that.
Bruton Smith and his Speedway Motorsports company clearly want to make their business bigger. Smith says this latest deal came about in the span of just a couple of weeks.
Of course, I've always liked Bristol, and I've known Larry Carrier for 35, 36 years. And Larry and I started talking, and I guess it just went from just a talking stage to yes, he would sell, and we started negotiating, and by golly, we completed yesterday and paid him in full.
This deal was hardly a distress sale. Bristol has become the most successful short track in America, with packed houses at both its Winston Cup races each year. Still, selling was a hard decision for longtime Bristol owner Larry Carey.
I realized just how much there is yet to do that I was going to do, and at my age, I don't think I want to tackle it.
Any chance that we would see only one Winston Cup race there in the near future and one date go somewhere else?
Lord, I hope not. Here again, I think we need to just...
Whether he's planning to buy any other racetracks, and no word on the sale price for Bristol, but some estimates put the deal in the $25 to $50 million range. Well, by the way, if you were counting on us last Sunday night for the latest motorsports news, our apologies. We prepared our PM edition of Race Day, packed full of news stories, but technical problems precluded it from being seen. As you may have noticed, our first edition last Sunday aired again Sunday night. We're sorry. We won't let it happen again. For his first win of the new year, we'll truck right back with Race Day in a moment.
Chrysler Corporation parts and the Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge, Jeep, and Eagle dealers who sell and install them.
Once again this Sunday, we're giving you an early look at the latest 4 drivers to be invited to run in IROC this year. Already on the slate for IROC in '96. And now the final 4 spots. They go to IndyCar drivers Al Unser Jr., who's a 2-time IROC champ, plus Scott Pruitt and Robbie Gordon, and the series' lone road racer, Tommy Kendall, the defending Trans Am champion. He'll make his 4th IROC appearance. There they are, the 4 drivers who will round out the field of 12 for IROC, which starts at Daytona in a couple of weeks. Something else, too. Last Sunday, we told you there were published reports that Steve Kinzer was set to drive an IndyCar this year for Rick Gallis, either at the Speedway in May or at Michigan Memorial Day. But Kinzer tells us he's merely talked to Gallis. The king of sprint cars says he's totally focused on winning a 15th World. And our Mopar Performance Update now, going off-roading. Last week, the Arizona Desert hosted the 18th running of the Score Parker 400. Race Day's Jim Roller tells us one of those IROC chauffeurs had everyone else eating his dust.
Score's trophy truck class is the Spotlight division in 1996. 10 machines took the green, and everyone was chasing Parker 400 veteran Ivan Stewart.
It's always a fun track. Probably one of the most fun tracks because of the different types of terrain. We get a little fast roads. We get some.
Besides the Parker Loop course, Stewart had his hands full of Robbie Gordon. The IndyCar ace kept the pressure on by keeping his foot to the floorboard. Just past halfway, Gordon was out front, while Stewart's hope to reclaim the lead died with his transmission. Gordon, however, never let up, as that hard pace used up fuel. 3 miles from the finish, Gordon was out of gas. While he frustratedly searched for the problem, Paul Simon in the family's Ford swept by. Soon, Gordon's crew was on hand to top off his tank, and the race was back on. Because the teams start one at a time, the adjusted scoring meant the Simons had to finish a minute ahead of Gordon, 31 seconds short of Gordon, and never let up after getting back underway.
When I saw Simon go by, I figured the race was over, and as soon as he went by, they jumped the dump can, it fired, and I just took off. And I knew I didn't have time to put my seatbelt on because it was going to be a pretty close race, so we ran all the way home without seatbelts.
Reporting for Race. Producer come out from behind the computer terminal every once in a while. Come March, and we'll show you the highlights right here on Race Day. There is more to come from Orlando. Some of the others who ran very well at Disney yesterday. We'll let you know how they fared and what they thought. It's going to close in New Haven. We'll review the new IndyCar show next. Welcome back. The first ever Indy Racing League event is now over, and barring an outbreak of peace or common sense, both unlikely, it looks like fans and teams are in for a long year. Plenty of questions remain. But our Matt Yoakum tells us that the Disney event yesterday did provide a few answers about this IndyCar war.
Rick, 22 months ago, Tony George announced he was taking IndyCar racing back to its American roots. Amid all the pomp and circumstance of Walt Disney World, theory now becomes reality.
Well, it was a great race. It was a great event, and it was great to be involved with it.
I think it was 110% success today. I really do. It was a good race right down to the end.
I thought the event, you know, the activities of the day came off good. The facility certainly is a nice facility.
It's showtime, man. This is too good to be real.
Much pre-race speculation centered on driver inexperience. Once the checkered flag fell, IndyCar neophytes like Davey Hamilton and Tony Stewart changed a lot of minds.
Some of the rookies I ran out there with was absolutely right on line, and there's a few veterans that I know that have ran these cars before that I had some difficulty with.
Well, I mean, we were fortunate. Our car was fairly good for the whole race. We finally got the car. I finally felt what loose feels like with the Indy car, and it's not the least bit fun.
I thought they drove exceptionally well, every one of them. Tony Stewart was extremely calm when he was around me. I saw him make a few passes that were very good. He had his car set up very well, and he made full advantage of it.
After what many consider a successful launch, the IRL will take nearly 2 months off before returning to action March 24th on the mile at Phoenix. From the Mick Yard, I'm Matt Yoakum reporting for RaceDay.
All right, thanks, Matt. Just about 90 days until the Speedway opens for practice for the 80th Indy 500 this year. Well, joining us live this morning is the IRL and USAC Vice President, Kerry Agajanian, just up from Orlando this morning. Welcome to RaceDay.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thanks for taking time to fly up to be with us. Was the race a success from your standpoint, or is this just a building block?
Well, it's a building block for sure, but it was a success. There isn't any question about that. Everything was great there. Not only the crowd, but the competition and the camaraderie that we saw was the most important thing.
Well, USAC and the IRL had to send some drivers and cars home. Apparently, a few cars were off in speed when the green fell yesterday. Is improving the field your biggest challenge before Phoenix?
Well, it is a big challenge. I think we will get there. We felt very badly because we had some great competitors come out and try. They didn't have enough time to get their cars up to speed. Their equipment, some of it needs updating, and so we said we'll give you more time. Come back to Phoenix with some other equipment and more practice, and you'll be fine. And so we felt badly, but we had a very, very good field that started that race.
A lot of the so-called experts, and I think we too, felt that Eddie Cheever and Ari Leyendijk would be the strongest runners. Were you surprised that they weren't really competitive?
I won't say I was surprised because that might be that might not make Eddie or Ari feel very well. But I knew the rookies that we had in that field were such fantastic race drivers that they would be competitive, and it showed that in the race yesterday. The rookies ran as well as the veterans.
And this first race ran before a full house, 50,000 plus fans. There's long been speculation in IndyCar racing that some of the attendance figures are inflated, some tickets may be given away. Was this a legitimate sellout, or did you paper the house?
That really makes me laugh because I bought 20 tickets myself for my family and friends, and it's true. There were no seats left. It had been a sellout for quite a long time. There were a few extra seats around that Disney had for the people that were coming in, and I think that's what started that rumor, so to speak. There were 51,000 people there paid. I saw the manifest myself, and it was a full house.
Well, watching from here at RaceDay's newsroom, it might seem, too, that one of the biggest challenges you face is bringing major sponsors on board for these race teams. Is that a tough challenge?
Well, it is. It's been disappointing in some ways, but a lot of the sponsors have sat on the fence because of this disruption, so to speak. I think a lot of them saw national ABC television yesterday across the country with a great show, and I believe a lot of sponsors will find a great opportunity now.
Now, the political war. Tomorrow, ACUS meets, you were telling me, in Florida. Presumably, CART will have a representative there, as will USAC. Any possibility of a rapprochement being worked out tomorrow?
I don't know what will occur tomorrow, really. We have a meeting to discuss international schedules and all that. And, you know, there is no what we would call open warfare or animosity, really. We're just going to go ahead and do our business as we have to in ACUS.
All right, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Thanks for being with us, Kerry Agajanian, USAC Vice President, just back from Disney World, where the IRL ran its inaugural yesterday. And when we come back, we'll show you how a low-buck short tracker walloped the big guys indoors at Indy last week. Plus, our series of previews of the top Winston Cup teams rolls on. Two guys looking for their first Daytona victories. The trials of Mark and Rusty when we come back.
Promotional fee or consideration paid by Winston Cup Illustrated. If you're fascinated with Winston Cup racing, you need Winston Cup Illustrated to take you behind the scenes. Call now to receive 12 months of America's only 100% Winston Cup magazine. By StarCraft Automotive, the leader in luxury van and truck conversions. Discover for yourself why StarCraft luxury, quality, and safety is setting the standard in luxury conversions.
Back on RaceDay, closing again on Speed Weeks 1996 and more of our preview series, looking at last year's top 10 Winston Cup teams and their hopes for the coming year. RaceDay's Ralph Shaheen is here. Ralph, these guys had the two top Fords last year.
They sure did, Rick, and both of them were very, very strong. Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin were the class of the Blue Oval Bunch in 1995, and both drivers will tell you they expect better things in 1996. Rusty Wallace is the second winningest driver in the 90s with 25 victories. Only Dale Earnhardt has more. Yet, like Earnhardt, Rusty has had no luck in the Daytona 500. Last year was no different. A 34th place finish at the Daytona 500 signaled another slow start to the season. Rusty picked up steam, though, with wins at Martinsville and Richmond. The Penske South team finished the season running more consistently than anyone else in the field, with 15 top fives to finish 5th in the point standing.
Much closer halfway through the year, then we started really performing. In fact, we performed great, but we left 15 races on the table early. But it wasn't that way at the end of the year.
Wallace's Ford team is looking to 1996 as the year they try hard to end their streak of bad luck at the beach. When they finally do have a good finish there, look out. Rusty could well be in line for his second Winston Cup title. Mark Martin and his Roush Racing teammates arguably are the best Winston Cup team never to have won a Winston Cup title. In the eyes of the Roush team, there are two levels of competition. They feel like they have dominated their class.
I feel like we won a championship. I don't know how to come back without a change in the rules and beat the 3 cars that are in front of us, and I'm terrified that, like I say, the 2 Labanis and some other folks that weren't there will be up there with GM cars in front of us next year.
We're doing all we can do, and we will win a championship when we do, or we just won't win one at all. I can't say, but we've got a great race team, and it's really a championship caliber effort, and we'll keep digging. We'll get ours if it's meant to be.
From the Roush Racing team's perspective, the recent NASCAR rule changes are not enough to even up the playing field. Reporting for Race Day, I'm Ralph Shaheen. Now, the Ford camp feels like it faces an uphill battle this season. If their dire speed predictions come true, you can look for NASCAR to make more adjustments in body specs. But, Rick, I don't think we'll see anything done with any more rules changes until at least after the Daytona 500.
And some of those teams are saying it's just time for Ford to build them a new car, to come up with a new design Thunderbird.
Yeah, we've heard that out of a lot of the teams. Jack Roush has told us that he doesn't expect Ford to make a new Thunderbird for a couple of years. Maybe we'll do like they did years back, where we'll get an SS version or something NASCAR competition.
All right, thanks a lot, Ralph. See you later on. We'll have a full report on Ford testing for you tonight on the PM edition of Race Day. We wanted to show you highlights from last Saturday night's indoor event at the RCA Dome in Indianapolis. We don't have the time to do that, unfortunately. We have a Super Bowl prediction for you. Meet today racing-wise if you're already burned out on Super Bowl previews. Race Day is back in a moment. Well, we couldn't leave you this Sunday without at least one mention of a certain event out in Arizona later today. Now, around here, we admittedly have a few football fans, so you can imagine all the arguing the last few weeks about who'll win Super Bowl 30 later tonight. Now, we decided to call on racing's biggest football expert, Joe Gibbs, who owns Bobby Labonte's team and the McDonald's drag racing team, and as of this weekend, a new member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Well, Coach Gibbs, who do you like when they kick it off in Arizona tonight?
Really, when you analyze it, I think where the keys for this game is going to be between the offensive line and the front 7 of Dallas going against the front 7 of Pittsburgh. And when you analyze that, you just feel like Pittsburgh's going to have a tough time holding up. They're going to have, now they could, they're ranked extremely high in the league, but I think that's going to be the key. And if Dallas doesn't turn the ball over, you got to kind of rate them a favor, at least I do going in. Spoken like a true NFC East coach. Coach Gibbs in Arizona for an NHRA test session, as you may have noticed there with the McDonald's wear, plus the Super Bowl tonight and on the PM edition of Race Day at 11 o'clock Eastern. After you're all footballed out, a full report on NHRA testing and a lot more as they get ready to go to Pomona next week. And that's Race Day for this Sunday morning. Thanks for being with us. We will be back with you tonight with plenty more on the IRL opener. Our Winston Cup preview, the team of Sterling Marlin trying for the Daytona three-peat, Ford testing, and 0 about the Super Bowl. See you tonight at 11 Eastern and enjoy the game.
Race Day is brought to you by Mopar, Chrysler Corporation Parts, and the Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge, Jeep, and Eagle dealers who sell and install them. Promotional fee or consideration paid by Simpson, Drivers, race teams, and race fans, now is the right time to get ready to go racing in 1996. To get the new Simpson catalog, dial 1-800-71-RACIN and join the Simpson team today. Go behind the scenes with Ernie Irvan in the exclusive video documenting his triumphant return to racing. Order Miracles Happen, the Ernie Irvan comeback. Call 1-800-251-8888. Radio communications are provided by Racing Radios. For all your business and racing communications needs, as well as scanners and frequency lists, call on Racing Radios at 1-800-669-1522.